Mr. Ellis. How
Hey
are
there,
you?
I'm doing great. I'm Jamie Ellis.
I'm Suzette Williamson. Sorry you didn't get a chance to meet at open house.
Okay, great. I was working 4 to 12 that
That's
weekend.
all right. Glad you're here today.
Yes.
Come on in and have a seat. We are going to meet today to talk about Mr. Jack, and I'm sorry he couldn't be here. He was invited, but I know you said he had a ball game. So
Yep,
that's
he's
okay.
playing soccer this year, so it's
Alright.
another year out at Bill Morris and the soccer, the
Good.
fields out there.
Sounds like fun.
It takes up every evening.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I want to start by saying that Jack is a joy to teach. He really is always willing to help other kids, and I often ask him to help other kids. He just has a very willing heart, and of course very smart, and so I can trust him to do anything or get on my stuff for me sometimes when I'm out.
I'll be modest about it, but I appreciate that. Thank
Well,
you.
he is a great kid. He's so great that he made this sweet little card for you.
How
He
about
wanted me
that?
to give that to you today.
Alrighty, well that was really nice of him.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. Very good. Thank you.
So now that Jack's a 5th grader, Mr. Ellis, you probably remember coming to these meetings last year. We called them APTT meetings,
Right.
Academic Parent-Teacher Team meetings, and so it's kind of a big term, and simply all it means is we're just going to partner together to do what's best for Jack.
Doing what's
so-
right for him and to help him move to that next level.
Exactly. Last year, you'll remember that we had 3 group meetings. So this year, we want to do something a little different. We want to take this first meeting to just sit down one-on-one with parents and
Okay.
kind of get to know each other so that we can just talk about Jack and not really look at the other students in the class. And so that's what we're going to do today. I just want to let you know that I'm going to send my phone number and email with you at the end of the meeting. And so anytime you have any questions, you feel free to call me. And of course, I've got Kenvo that I communicate with all the time.
Yeah,
so
I've been getting those messages, so
good.
my wife and I both get those messages, so that helps out everything to everybody to know what's going on for Jack.
Great, and that's what we want to do. We both are in this for Jack, and so I just want to make sure that you know you can come to me anytime about anything. So let's go ahead and get started. If you'll remember last year, when we started these meetings off, we talked about a skill, and so I have just a little picture here that I want you to look at. We call them foundational skills, and so basically what we're looking at in these meetings is a skill that will just carry through the rest of life with Jack.
Right.
And so last year we did the same thing. We looked at reading comprehension in the younger grades. We looked at some phonics, some sight words, fluency, but when we get to the older grades, we're really just focusing on the comprehension. So you'll see this little visual here, and it just shows a little boy reading. And so in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, we really focus a lot on learning to read. So we teach those alphabet letters, sight words, all those kinds of things. But when children get in 3rd grade, then we start focusing on them being good readers and reading to learn.
Right, they're getting the information from what they read and interpret it from there.
Exactly, and you know, and Jack knows, he's taken that Georgia Milestones twice now, and so he knows the length of those passages on there and how important it is to read those passages and be able to go in and pick out that information and answer those questions.
It's not just a couple of sentences, he
That's
said.
right.
He said
That's
it's pretty
exactly
lengthy.
right. And so I'm glad you said that. So one of the things we're going to be talking about today, when I talk to you about our activity in just a minute, will just be reading. And so we tell parents all the time, if we can just get you to read with your child, that's one of the best things that you can do. And I know you've always heard that. So let me show you this graph here that I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Yeah, I remember seeing this at one of the meeting that I was able to attend last year, so this does look familiar.
Yes. So this just shows our what we call STAR data, and the STAR test is a test that we give on the computer 3 times a year. We gave it around August 14th. We'll be giving it again in December and then again in March. And so that particular test just gives us some information. It gives us a lot of different scores, but one score we're going to focus on here is called the scaled score, and you'll see the scaled score right here. Simply all you need to know about a scaled score is it's just a number, and we want it to increase. Now I'm going to talk to you about particularly where we want our students to be right now and where we want them to be at the end of the year, but it's just a number. You'll see those numbers right here. We want it to get bigger, obviously.
Right.
These numbers at the bottom are student numbers. Of course, we don't put student names on here because you don't need to know information about any other students but your own, so we've just assigned each student a number. These 2 lines across are what we call benchmark lines. So this first line here, you'll see, is kind of where we expect students to be right now. So that's about at a 570.
Okay.
So we expect that scaled score to be around a 570. By the end of the year, we want students to be right here around a 640.
Okay, so that's starting the year, and then that top line is ending the year.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so we're not going to focus on Jack just yet. I'm going to just focus on student number 5, which is just a made-up student, a fictitious student.
Yes.
So if we looked at student number 5, just so we're familiar with how to read this graph, student number 5's bar is at 570, so his scaled score is a 570, which happens to be exactly where we want him to be right now. And so sometimes we might say, and I use this word because I'm going to use it again in a minute, we might say that's an average learner. He's average, he's right where we want him to be right now. And so by the end of the year, we hope he at least gains to a 640 or above that.
Right.
So this is just basically to show growth. Every child shows growth. You can see some students are lower here, but our goal is that every child shows growth. Not necessarily that every child gets here, because if you're way down here, it's harder to get up here, but we're just looking at growth. Okay. All right, and so we'll bring that out in just a minute and look at that again.
Okay.
But for now, I want to show you this little activity and show you how you can help Jack at home so that his score will grow.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, we give the STAR test, and the STAR test gives them a range, and we'll tell them what books they can check out, what books are the best fit for them. So Jack knows that, goes to the media center, gets what books that are in his range. So I encourage you just to use those books, or books you have around the house, or books he checks out from the public library. But if he does use the books from school, those will be on his level. So those are the best books for him.
So those are
to
already
use.
not selected, but he has ones that he can choose from that are at his reading level.
Exactly, because what this STAR test does is it helps to say, here's a lower range that he can read from, all the way up to the top of a range. So he can read anywhere within that range, and it shouldn't be too difficult for him. The lower range, of course, would be easier. The top of the range will be a little more difficult, but he should be able to read anywhere.
So when he goes to the media center, when they have checkout time for his class, or if he gets time during the day to go to the media center, they'll help him find the ones that are in his range.
Exactly, and as a matter of fact, they're arranged in the media center by dots, and so whatever his range is, his teacher may say, you're looking for yellow dot boots, so it kind of makes them easier
for them to pick that out.
Yes.
So they know that their range is a certain dot.
That's exactly right. And of course, I'm sure you've heard about the accelerated reader test, the AR test that they can take on those books and stuff.
Yes, that he reads.
Exactly. So I just picked an easy book for today. This, of course, is not one of Jack's books, but just an easy book for us to look at. And so what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about, as you're reading with him, and some questions that you might ask to make sure that he is understanding what he's reading, because that is our focus in 3rd through 5th grade. And so we have a book here, and I'm just going to read a couple of pages for you. And then what we'll do is I've got these questions here. Of course, you can see where you can cut these out, and you can put them on a little ring. They have a little hole you can punch. And these just go over kind of some higher order thinking skills. So remembering, analyzing, understanding, evaluating, applying, and creating. And although these kind of look like teacher language, it might be a little harder to understand. If you flip the page, if I want to kind of teach my kid, if I see he's having trouble remembering, here's some questions I can ask. So I might say, who are the main characters? Where does the story take place?
And so that's a prompt that I could share these with him as he's completed a book.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so one thing I want to encourage you to do is, because a lot of times things that Jack's reading now, you may not have ever read.
Right.
And I know a lot of times as children get older, I have a child too, and as they get older, they like to read silently, go to their room and read that kind of stuff. But I encourage you to read with him as much as you can, to read out loud to him, to let him read out loud to you. If you want to read at the same time, or you read silently as he's reading silently, y'all reading the same thing, and that way you can really have a discussion and make sure that he's understanding what he reads. So those are just some kind of partner reading strategies. So let me just read this for you real quick. It says, I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. I don't know if you've ever read this book. This is the true story of the Three Little Pigs, and of course it's from the wolf's perspective.
I got you.
So he's saying that he really didn't blow these houses down, that every time he just had this sneeze coming on, and every time the sneeze came on, he would just accidentally blow the house down.
Okay.
So if I saw that my child, or if I just wanted to check their understanding, I might turn to one of these questions and I might just say, what is the main problem in this story? And so what would you say the main problem
Just from
is?
the 2 pages that you read, was the houses being blown down,
Yeah.
or him having a sneezing fit?
Yeah, and I wonder if people are blaming him. Why are you blowing all these houses down? But he says he's not doing that. He just has a little sneezing fit. And
Yeah,
it's-
it moves on. It just happened to be right by a house,
That's
and a
exactly
pig happened to be
right.
there.
That's right. So you can do this any way you want to. You could put him in a deck of cards, and y'all could play a little game with him, and you could pick a question, and Jack could answer. And if he's right, he kicks the card, and if he's not, then you get a chance to answer. And if you know, there's all
Yeah,
kinds of fun ways to do
to
it.
mix it up. Yeah.
But I guess you see the commonalities here in the main thing is just spending time with Jack.
Right.
Sitting down, reading to him, listening to him read, show that you're interested, and then asking him some questions.
Okay.
And so that's a little activity. I'm gonna send these home with you today.
So I'll get all those copies to
You
take
will
with
get
me?
these copies
Okay.
to take with you. You do with them as you please. If you wanna cut them out, put them on a ring. If you wanna cut them out, make a little deck with them, whatever. Ask Jack about his AR book, because he goes to the media center a lot. I mean, he reads right
Okay.
through books, takes an AR test, he's gonna
We'll
get
go to
another
the
one.
next, yeah.
Yeah, so he
Okay.
constantly has a book, so check into what book he's reading now. I don't know if you have a lot of opportunities to read with him, or his grandparents, or whoever, but, you know, just take an interest
Yeah.
in what he's reading.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is critical.
All right, so let's look back at the graph here. I know you're interested in Jack. And so Jack is number 13 right here on this
All
graph.
right, lucky 13.
Yes, he's number 13. Now you'll see his scaled score is a 450.
Okay.
And now that's a little below what we say we expect right now. And I should probably tell you, I should have told you this earlier, we didn't just choose these numbers. We didn't just say, well, I think a 570 would be a good number. This program called Renaissance that creates this STAR test, they look at all the kids nationally that take this test.
Okay.
And so they give us a benchmark for where kids should be in the fall, where they should be in the winter, and where they should be at the end of the year. So that's where this number comes from. So
Okay.
Jack he's a little bit below that, but right there at that. Again, we took this test in August.
Right.
We're already well into September now, so I'm sure he's already shown some growth. So, and you know,
He
a
did
lot
a
of
lot of
times.
reading during those hurricane days. So,
Oh, good,
yeah,
good,
So
good.
maybe that even that short period of time, but that was just still some nonstop time to read. So.
Yes, and typically, what we see is at the beginning of the year, the scores are not as high because the kids have been off for the
Yeah.
summer, and
Okay.
not a lot of kids do a lot of reading over the summer, and
Yeah.
so we look for a lot of growth in our December. But he's right there at 450. We expect him to be around a 570 right now.
Okay.
So what do we need to do to make sure Jack grows?
Right.
Well, one of the things is this activity I just showed you.
Right.
Main thing being Jack needs to read at home, just like all kids do.
Yes.
He reads a lot at school, so just make sure he continues that at home. You can use these
Use the
questions
activity.
to make sure that he's understanding what he reads. And so if you do that, and if you commit to doing that 2 to 3 times a week, when we come back in December, we should see good growth with
Good
Jack.
growth, okay.
Yes. So let's look at, you'll remember this from the last time. Let's go ahead and set a goal for Jack. And so I'm gonna give you that copy,
Okay.
and I'm gonna keep this copy. So let's go ahead and write his name right here where it says child and the date. And then it says today my child's reading STAR scaled score, and we said a 450. So we'll put that in that first blank. Now, it's kind of hard to tell how much Jack's going to grow, but what this program again says, this Renaissance program that creates the STAR test, they say that typically an average child will gain about 3 points a week.
Okay.
So we have, give or take, about 10 weeks till we'll meet again, somewhere around
Okay.
there. And so if we say 10 weeks times 3 points a week, that gives us 30. So if we take our 450 and add 30 to that, that'll
Okay.
give us 480.
480.
So by the next time we meet, we hope that Jack will be at a 480 or above.
Okay.
Okay? And I know you noticed that, well, we don't have the bench line there for the next time, but you will see the mid-year bench line.
Okay, so there'll be another line added to
That's
the.
correct, yes.
the column chart.
And next time when we pass out the scrap, there'll be 2 bars. So we'll see Jack's, the bar that's here now, and then what his next bar is, so you can kind of have a visual of his
Okay.
growth, okay? Alrighty, and so to me, this is one of the most important parts to help my child reach the goal. Who can we say the goal? Who can we say will be working with him?
Well, his grandmother, his mammy, picks him up on the afternoons.
Okay,
So
so she
he
has
goes with
a
her in the
good chance.
afternoons after school. So,
Okay.
and she's a retired educator. So,
Oh, wow, that's perfect.
So
All right.
she can certainly help him, I'm sure.
Okay, so let's put grandmother there.
Okay.
And then how many days a week? I typically encourage parents to do around 2 to 3, not let's
Yeah.
say 5.
Yeah,
If you
because-
get 5, great, but
Yeah, because like we said earlier, having a soccer schedule and church choir and all kinds of other after school activities, still want to keep education at the forefront, but still I would say probably 2 to 3 times a week
that's
would
perfect.
be manageable. Can
That's
we
right,
put
yes.
2 to 3?
2 to 3.
Okay,
And then how long each day?
I would say probably 15-20 minutes.
That's perfect. We don't want to sit too long.
Because
and do all
even if
that.
you did 20 minutes 3 times a week, I mean that's another hour of reading time
Exactly.
and conversation, like
Mhm.
using those little cards that you had just a moment ago, using those to discuss those components of the story or the book that he's read.
Exactly. Sounds good. Okay, you take that with you, put it on the refrigerator,
I'll
talk
do
to
it.
Jack about that. This graph is yours.
Okay.
You can choose to show that to Jack if you want to. You don't have to.
Okay.
And I'm gonna keep this SMART goal. I'm gonna send
So
that
we'll go back with
activity
that
you.
folder. We'll have it again at the
Yes.
next meeting and refer back to what we talked about now,
Mhm.
and then look at where the score is for the second test.
That's right.
Okay. And do they take these on the computer?
They do. They take
Okay.
them on the computer.
Okay,
Yes.
alright, so
Mhm.
that's something that he should be familiar with.
Oh, yes. He's
Okay.
been doing those STAR tests since he was in first grade.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So he's he
A
can tell you
veteran.
all about them, exactly. One more thing I wanted to mention is, have you ever been on the parent portal? Are you familiar with the parent portal?
I know my wife gets the stuff. Is that Infinite Campus?
It is,
Okay, alright,
yes.
well, I know she gets some of those updates and we can talk about it,
Okay,
So, but is it something I can access to?
it is, and so if you wanna set up your own account, I've written the address down here for you, so it's wayne.k12.ga.us.
Okay,
And so when you pull that up, you'll see a tab that says Parent Portal, and if you'll click there, if you've never set up an account, there are step-by-step directions there that'll
and
show
just
you
follow
how.
those along, okay.
Exactly, and then once you have it set up, it should look like this, and you can log in as the parent, but
Okay.
Jack can actually log in too,
As a
and
student,
kinda become
look at
accountable
it
for his own grades.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so that works well, and if you have any trouble with that, just contact us here at the school, and we can help. There's
So can I
step-by-step
put that on my cell phone and use it like on a desktop
Yes,
or
you
an
can.
iPad or something I can use wherever I log in, I'll still get the same information.
Exactly. I have a
Okay.
daughter in middle school, and every time she does an assignment, it alerts me on my phone, and I
Okay.
see what her grade is, and it's a very good way to keep up with how they're doing.
Okay, great.
Mhm. Yep.
That would be helpful.
One last thing, we have a compact right here. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Paper spread out everywhere, and so this piece of paper just kind of outlines for you what I'm going to make sure I do as the teacher, what we hope you'll make sure you do as the parent, and then of course what we want Jack to do.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna let you take this with you and read over all those things, but I'm gonna let you sign this piece of paper just saying that you've received this and that
Okay.
you agree to what it says.
I think I looked at it's on the website. I know
Yes.
that that's been published, so I looked at that. There was something that came across on Kinvo
Yeah,
that said that the compacts are available for each school. So
exactly.
today's date on there too.
Yes. And you'll see I've already talked to Jack about this, so I already had him sign that,
Okay.
and then I will sign that later on.
Okay.
I'll file that.
All right, but this is mine to
Yeah,
keep.
that is yours
Okay,
to keep,
that's my go
yes.
file.
Mhm. Yep, and here's that Wayne.K12
For the Infinite
information for the
Campus.
parent portal, yes. Okay, Mr. Ellis, what other questions do you have for me? I have about 5 minutes before I have my next appointment coming.
Okay, all right. I think you covered everything. Again, this is just the second time I've had a chance to come to the APTT meetings, but you've been able to provide everything that you are working with Jack to do. Now it's a chance for us as parents to do that, and then there's Jack's responsibility. So I can see how everybody has a part, and if everybody plays their part, then we should see those numbers go up.
That's right. That's
So-
exactly what APTT is about, us working together. And I hope at the next meeting, you'll be able to maybe network with some other parents, meet some
Okay,
other
'cause
parents.
that's a group. That's
That'll be a
the
group
whole
meeting.
classroom.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
all right.
yes. And there are a lot of great parents in this room, and so you'll have a chance to network with them at the next meeting.
Okay, very
Okay.
good. Thanks,
All
Ms.
right,
Williamson.
all right.
Very
Nice to meet
Good
you.
to see you.
Look
Bye-bye.
forward to seeing you again.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.